A 70-year-old Dutch man boards a cruise ship in the southernmost city on Earth. He's just spent weeks in Argentina watching birds. He's healthy, retired, probably in the best mood of his life. 5 days later, he has a headache, a fever, mild diarrhea. Nothing unusual for a man his age on a long voyage. He sees the ship's doctor, gets some rest. On April 11th, he's dead. His lungs filled with fluid so fast that by the time the crew realized something was seriously wrong, there was nothing left to do. The captain makes an announcement.
One of our passengers sadly passed away last night. Tragic as it is, it was due to natural causes, we believe. Whatever health issues he was struggling with, I'm told by the doctor, were not infectious.
No one on that ship knows what killed him, and no one suspects that the thing that killed him is now sitting inside several of them, quietly replicating, waiting. That ship is still at sea, and no country on Earth wants it anywhere near their coastline. The ship is the MV Hondius, a Dutch-flagged expedition vessel owned by a company called Ocean-Wide Expeditions. It left Ushuaia, Argentina, on April 1st, 2026, carrying 86 passengers and 61 crew from 23 countries. The itinerary read like a geography enthusiast's fantasy: Antarctica, South Georgia Island, Tristan da Cunha, St. Helena, Ascension Island. Berth prices ran between 14,000 euros and 22,000 euros. These were not spring breakers. These were retirees, birdwatchers, scientists, adventure tourists. The Dutch man's wife stayed on the ship after his death. On April 24th, the Hondius docked at St. Helena, the British island in the middle of the South Atlantic where Napoleon spent his final years. 30 passengers got off. The wife disembarked with her husband's body. She flew to Johannesburg, South Africa. On April 25th at the airport, she collapsed. On April 26th, she was dead. On April 28th, a German woman on the ship developed the same symptoms: fever, body aches, trouble breathing. On May 2nd, she was dead too. 3 deaths, 3 passengers from different countries, same symptoms, same ship, and the ship is still floating somewhere in the Atlantic Ocean, and nobody has figured out what's happening. On May 2nd, a British passenger was airlifted to a hospital in Johannesburg in critical condition. Blood tests came back. The diagnosis: Andes virus, a strain of the Hantavirus family, the only strain of Hantavirus in the world that can spread from one human to another. Hantavirus is not new. Scientists have known about it for about 70 years. It first surfaced during the Korean War in the early 1950s. American soldiers fighting along the Hantan River in South Korea started dropping. More than 3,000 of them got sick: high fever, headache, vomiting. Then their kidneys shut down. About 15% of them died. Military doctors called it Korean hemorrhagic fever. For decades, nobody could identify the cause. Some suspected a chemical weapon. It took until 1978 for a South Korean virologist named Ho Wang Lee to isolate the pathogen. It was a virus, carried in the urine and droppings of field mice along the Hantan River. He named it after the river. But Hantavirus is not a single virus. It is a family. Different rodent species carry different strains, and each strain causes different problems in humans. In Asia and Europe, Hantavirus tends to attack the kidneys. The disease is called hemorrhagic fever with renal syndrome, or HFRS. Internal bleeding, kidney failure, shock. In the Americas, the virus goes after the lungs. That version is called Hantavirus pulmonary syndrome, or HPS. Fluid floods into the lungs. Breathing gets harder and harder until it stops. There is no FDA-approved vaccine for hantavirus. There is no WHO-approved vaccine. There is no antiviral drug that targets it. If you get infected, doctors can put you on a ventilator, give you fluids, manage your blood pressure. That's it. Your immune system either fights it off or it doesn't. The case fatality rate for HPS can reach 38%. The most dramatic hantavirus outbreak in the Americas happened in 1993. In the Four Corners region of the southwestern United States, where Arizona, New Mexico, Utah, and Colorado meet, young, healthy members of the Navajo Nation started dying without explanation. 10 people dead in a few weeks. Fever, then respiratory failure, then death, sometimes within 24 hours of the first cough. Initial mortality rate hit 75%. 3 out of every 4 infected people didn't survive. And then Navajo elders told them something. Their oral histories recorded a pattern. When heavy rains come, pinyon pine trees produce more nuts. More nuts means more mice. More mice means sickness. The elders had seen it before. That traditional knowledge broke the case open. Researchers trapped deer mice near the victims' homes, found the virus, a new strain, later named sin nombre, without a name. And the rainfall trigger? El Niño. The 1991-92 El Niño cycle had dumped heavy rain across the southwest. The mouse population exploded tenfold, and the virus spilled into human homes. For decades, scientists operated on a comforting assumption about Hantavirus. It spreads from rodents to humans, full stop. No human-to-human transmission. That made it manageable. Scary, but manageable. In 1996, southern Argentina shattered that assumption. A hantavirus outbreak tore through the town of El Bolson. Strain name, Andes virus. Doctors and family members who had close contact with patients started getting sick. For the first time in documented history, hantavirus had jumped from one person to another, and then from that person to another, a chain of human transmission. The Andes virus is now the only strain in the entire hantavirus family where person-to-person spread has been confirmed. It requires close, prolonged physical contact, sharing a bed, kissing, handling an infected person's body fluids. It does not float through the air the way COVID or influenza does, but it can move through families, through caregivers, through people crammed together in close quarters for weeks. Like a cruise ship, back to the Hondius. The Dutch couple had spent weeks before the cruise traveling through Argentina, Chile, and Uruguay on a birdwatching trip. The WHO Director General confirmed they visited sites where the species of rat known to carry the Andes virus is common. A landfill near Ushuaia with a large rodent population is the most likely point of exposure. They inhaled something. Dried rat urine, droppings, nesting material kicked into the air. They probably didn't even notice. Then they boarded a ship with 145 other people. By May 8th, the WHO reported 8 cases, 6 confirmed, 2 suspected, 3 people dead, the Dutch couple and the German woman. A British man in an ICU in Johannesburg, patients hospitalized in the Netherlands, Germany, Switzerland, Spain, and St. Helena. The CDC classified the outbreak as a Level 3 emergency response, its highest level. No country wanted the ship. Cape Verde refused to let anyone off. For days, the Hondius drifted off the West African coast. Then Spain agreed to receive it at the port of Granadilla in Tenerife, Canary Islands. On May 10th, the ship docked. The operation to get people off that vessel involved 22 countries, the WHO, the European Union, and military aircraft from at least half a dozen nations. Passengers disembarked wearing blue protective suits and N95 masks. They were loaded onto speedboats, driven to the airport, and put directly onto chartered flights. No contact with anyone on the island. Spain's health minister called the logistics unprecedented. And then things got worse. A French woman, one of 5 French passengers flown to Paris, developed symptoms mid-flight. She tested positive for hantavirus. Her condition worsened overnight. She's now hospitalized in isolation. One of the 18 Americans flown to the National Quarantine Unit at the University of Nebraska Medical Center in Omaha also tested positive. Another showed mild symptoms. As of today, May 11th, the WHO has confirmed 7 cases, with more suspected. The total is likely around 10. 2 Indian nationals were also on board. They traveled to the Netherlands with the ship and entered quarantine, though neither showed symptoms. So the question everyone keeps asking, is this the next pandemic? Probably not. And there are specific reasons to believe that. The transmission window for the Andes virus is extremely narrow. An infected person is contagious for roughly 1 day, maybe 2 during the symptomatic phase. Compare that to COVID, where people could spread the virus for over a week, often before they even felt sick. The math of an outbreak depends on how long each infected person can pass it on. 1 day is not enough to sustain exponential spread across a general population. Second, the Andes virus does not go airborne the way respiratory viruses do. No aerosol transmission. No infection from sitting across a restaurant from someone. You need sustained close contact. Body fluids. That limits spread to household members, intimate partners, and caregivers. Third, this isn't a novel pathogen. Scientists have studied hantaviruses for 70 years. Diagnostic tests exist. Contact tracing protocols exist. The WHO assessed the global risk as low, but here is what should keep you up at night anyway. There is no vaccine. There is no cure. 3 people are dead from this single cluster. The case fatality rate for HPS sits around 38%, and the Andes virus has a documented history of super spreader events, where a single infected individual passes the virus to many more people than the average case would predict. Argentine researchers documented this pattern in the late 1990s. Some patients generated secondary infection chains. Others infected nobody. The mechanism behind this variability is still not understood. And then there's El Niño, the same climate pattern that triggered the 1993 Navajo outbreak. El Niño increases rainfall. Rainfall increases food for rodents. Rodent populations boom. More rodent-human contact means more chances for the virus to jump species. Climate forecasters expect a significant El Niño event this year. The hantavirus has been infecting people around the world for decades. India confirmed 28 cases in Tamil Nadu's Vellore district between 2005 and 2008, mostly in warehouse workers and members of the Yarula tribe who catch rats for a living. Antibody testing showed about 4% of the general population in that area had already been exposed. Nobody made headlines. Nobody panicked. This virus doesn't need to become a pandemic to be devastating. It just needs to find you, and the only thing standing between you and it are a sealed wall, a clean floor, and the awareness that the mice living in your storage room, your warehouse, your old shed, might be carrying something that has no vaccine and no cure. The hantavirus has been here for at least 70 years, probably much longer. It didn't arrive on a cruise ship. The cruise ship just made you look.